Well, I figure why waste a good lodge beating when you got one handy. So what we got here? We got the exorcism of some little girl. Solomon's 36 spirits inside here in the Jacobian matrix for the Texas border today, boys. Right into the hopper.
Completely failing us on. Now with that, there's going to be 3 law enforcement officials who will provide you additional information, and then we will look forward to hearing your remarks. And it starts
Being
out
the
with
town
the director
board meeting. I like
of
to
the
say
Texas
this is
Department of Public Safety.
we have a Senate. Again, it's not sensible to take anything from kindergarten to 12 out here to 12th grade before college, after college, before or after the academy. Certain standards of code are have to have some level of testing on college standards for the esoterics, on the utilitarian value.
All right, let me try it again.
The math problem, guys, got to have that marshmallow inside here because
law enforcement recognize that.
Returned to the university, but upon entering her room, she became rigid and she growled at a crucifix on the
I
wall.
can say this.
Peter grew afraid and took her back home.
right there. You
Father
know
Alt
it is.
again contacted Bishop Stangl for permission to carry out what's called the small or minor exorcism rite.
Well,
This
like I
is
said,
performed when it's believed
I do a methodology under 2020, which is a bit different. When we're exercising the clear, I say chasing the wobbles, NP problem, MP, PT test. Obviously, the push right here because given some of the other evalues up today on standards for audit the auditors on tell me you don't know the name. I mean, why couldn't you know that name in terms of the research when I say what the math dude out there for what it could be at the physical limit of black holes, their theoretical mass, how large they could get for talking about astrology, from the difference of why you need NASA or some kind of housing for the game wardens. Obviously, I want them because they're not the city version. They're the ground tracks on Rabbit Order inside here about the sectors. You know how we can talk about the flaming graphing calculators, Demon Core, mark your feet. Great training program, 100% at 600 yards can still standardize what the observation IH can value by the math problem. Okay, it's something to check into, but not necessarily the main topological model for this table. When I want to specifically say, like I said, there are plenty of great incident reports on
Solomon begins to hear boss music.
what this kind of
You notice that for the
function
most
can do
part,
here.
Solomon's
Fundamental
encounters have been
forces
pretty
off the front
routine.
to the corn guy on the farm being something that brings it to its knees at the end of it, that is going to have a system on that squared city. Obviously, we're moving fast for the esoterics on the value, but if I'm looking on the board, I can't obviously apply this physics to that value, but what's really the difference here? In the colleges we're talking about energy and functions coming in, the brothers at the table, not just necessarily some kid you got to put to the question of the kid laughing about the father and something getting your ass handled like it should be done inside of there, because look, one of these things are going to be in there with that.
You can see a 527% increase, from the same time period.
That being said, good one to check out. Check out Solomon's Dragon. Tell you something about it. Comes up in the room every once in a while in the forum. Clear to do, and whichever we're training this to sharps and the salty, but it's the same. You tell me uncertainty position on.
Transnational gangs and also criminal.
This is a different room, obviously.
We're mindful that we had in May of last year.
Anyways, let's continue here.
We had an 800% increase from May of 21 to
Jacobian matrix defines the relationship between joint velocities and end effector velocities in this way.
In the term of cancel culture to the education of this math equation, how we could break it down for 12 years, just over two parallel systems of the T1 or the T30 from the T5 to the T10.
And since there are 6
Given how this thing is going to start banging around, this is one of these, but it's also both of them. And when you get into
Next slide.
So,
all the,
for example,
cities
suppose
in
that we are
New
trying
York,
to find the trigonometric matrix
Miami,
for
Harbor,
land
San
with
Francisco,
three joints.
obviously.
Two revolutions.
Heat wave indexes on things that are going to plan trajectory differentials inside here,
It's amazing.
just using this person's thesis. Now, obviously, this is not what that is, but if you understand the matrix and can argue that that value over something that I'm going to pack to the table at the board is going to be quantifiable, because like I said, we still got
First, I'm going to show you what
jobs
the
for
table looks like,
differentials on
and then
gaps.
we'll
These are all
see how
polarized.
tables
Obviously, I can't just take a bunch of Mexican, no offense to be using numbers for differential. Any person in mathematics and today at this specific meeting has to be gravity for any other value of how the matrix works inside here. We got Jacobian matrix.
There are also two columns.
You find it very commonly at any base of school, but there are differences between terms. AX, BX, AX, BY, mass gap, air turbulence derivative, L derivative T, derivative is an A matrix.
Has all prismatic joints.
It's going to go and or, but they don't run it from a physics. Well, there's a couple of problems of the Common Core in the system about, look, you can't have 50 states running 50 different Common Core 12th grade programs because it violates a test across the board. Now, individual borders, hopefully we could use that standard to say, look Russia, look China, look Mexico. No offense, I'm just using it because would it matter? I mean, when
And that first joint is prismatic.
I hate to just leave here, but eventually she gets to the point where we're like, we are done with the Jacobian matrix now. Now I get what that is, but guess what happens to the Bernoulli's equation inside here, or Gresham's law, to being segued to this system, and
Sheriff from Tarrant.